Hey everyone, just going to run you through a long week or so of training. Drove around for about 1,200 miles all over Southern California these last 10 days or so. So you're going to see me training at a handful of gyms. Had my wife come out and visit me from Colorado, so I was all over San Diego, down in the Mission Valley area, and then all the way up into Los Angeles and Orange County and all over the place. So this is the main gym that I train at. This was last Friday, not the most recent one, but like 2 Fridays ago. And I'm working up in sets of 4, and I get up to a 455 rep out. And this was the day that my wife came in, so obviously I was super excited the night before, and I got about 3.5 hours of sleep. So these deadlifts that you're seeing right here, I was absolutely exhausted when I came to the gym, and I was just glad I made it through them. And 3.5 hours of sleep, it's good to know that I could still pull into the mid 400s for a decent amount of volume, and the speed is okay. Lower back was pretty well recovered from the squats and deadlifts from Monday, and then the front squats and regular squats that I was doing on Wednesday. So all in all, considering the sleep situation, these deadlifts went pretty well. And a huge lesson learned for this week is that oftentimes lifters become creatures of habit, and if we're not in our gym that we train in, we don't have the bar that we like to use, or if we don't have our special underwear or something silly like that, then we're not going to train, or we think it's going to have a huge negative impact on the way that we train or our ability to train according to plan. And so that's why I like to stick to guidelines and principles more so than a written program. That doesn't mean that I don't write out programs. I still do that, but I go into the gym understanding that those are not fixed numbers, and that if I'm stronger, then I'll lift more, and if I'm weaker, then I'll lift slightly less. And so that's something that everyone should really apply to their training, at least in my opinion, is that you need to know when to push yourself, you need to know when to back off, and you need to know that your special underwear, your favorite gym, your favorite bar, or whatever circumstances that you find yourself in aren't really a good reason to not train hard. Now, this isn't the hardest that I've ever trained, this isn't the strongest that I've ever been, but it's the hardest that I could train considering these circumstances. And that's a big takeaway that I had this week. And granted, I didn't get all the lifts for all the numbers of reps that I wanted, but I feel like my lifts are mostly on track. My squat and bench are definitely lagging behind, especially my bench, and you'll see this here on last Saturday, I think it was. I get up to 275 and I hit it for 4 paused, and that's about 25 pounds less than what I've done for 5 before paused, I think. So it's sad to admit that my bench has been absolutely crappy lately, and a lot of it has to do with cutting weight. Been weighing about 170 to 174 pounds really, and that is due to some days I'm eating more carbohydrates than others. I'm about 2 weeks out from the meet, and so the carbohydrate tapering is going into full effect. No more refeeds or anything like that. Going to try to shoot for less than 100 grams of carbohydrates per day, and that last week probably get as close to 0 as I can, easily be at 165 pounds. Right now I'm less than 10 pounds above that, so it's not going to be a problem. Here you can see on this benching I'm up on my toes because for some reason Marine Corps gyms like to be tiled or whatever in super slick rubber, and going flat-footed absolutely sucks. So this is gym 3, I think, and going to squat last Monday, so a week ago from today. And this is 365 or something. This is World Gym in Pacific Beach, San Diego. It's a great gym. It just so happens that it was insanely hot last week, so it was about 90 degrees inside this gym. It was about 90 degrees in all the gyms down here in Southern California. So that was 365, felt pretty good. Here's 385 for a double. It got a little bit wobbly on my back, so I had to try to shake it around and re-rack it. And I was feeling pretty good. I'd gotten back on a decent sleep cycle, sleeping in a good bed, getting some good rest, and eating some good food. And the wife was in town, so I was having plenty of fun, relaxing, going to the beach, shooting guns, driving go-karts, all that good stuff. So came in, got this 405 for a triple, which is 2 reps less than the most I've ever gotten it for. I've gotten 405 for 5, and I've gotten 410 for 5 as well. But granted, I was about 15 pounds heavier at the time. So after I did those squats, I was really trying to get 405 for 4 to 5 reps. Since I only got it for 3, you know, I went to my back off work. It called for 425, but the 405 was feeling slower than I'd like. Decently fast, but still slower than I would have liked. So this is the 10th set of 2 reps, and I decided just to rep this out. And I got 6, I think, 5 or 6 with this. And again, like I said, it was crazy hot in there. Since I didn't get all the reps I wanted on my squat, I just repped out my assistance lift, which is the deadlifts here, and it felt pretty great. Really just trying to build up power into the floor, maintain a good bar speed, and keep myself from reaching technical or muscular failure, and hopefully not impacting my other training days. So that was down Pacific Beach, San Diego. The next day, drive up to Newport Beach in Orange County, and this is gym 4 or something like that, and do the slingshot bench last Tuesday, and the slingshot is not going very well. This is 325 for a double, and this is 335. I was supposed to go to 345 today. You'll see this first rep here on 335. It gets out of groove. These are basically not paused at all, and I'm not comfortable with the slingshot work that I have right now. I've got to get used to it again. Got to keep practicing. And so this meet that I'm doing here in October, about 2 weeks away, it's a feeler meet. Just going to dial in my lifts, see where I'm at, and then in November I'm doing the IPL Worlds, and that'll be about 5 weeks after the meet here in Long Beach, and hopefully I'll be able to hit that qualifying total for RUM there at IPL Worlds. That'll be like a 1345 at 165 pounds. So after I trained up in Newport Beach, drove back down to San Diego. Then this is the day after, so this was last Wednesday. Go back up to, this is in Laguna, so back up north in Orange County, and train here. And this is one of the CrossFit gyms I trained at. The other one was the other CrossFit gym that I train at and coach at, I mean. And so this was before I was coaching some classes, doing some front squats. It only called to go up to 305 for a 2+ rep out, but I was feeling pretty strong this day. And the front squat is actually on level with what my abilities were before. This is 315 for 3. My best front squat is 325 for 3, and I was a little bit heavier at the time, I think. So the front squat is doing great. The deadlift is doing pretty good. Regular squat, meh. And then all pressing exercises suck, and you'll see that here. Go back down to San Diego at night, come up here to Rancho, and this is the 3rd gym that I train at, so I think this is gym 6 in the video. By this time I think I'd put on 700 miles or something on my truck. And here I'm doing pressing, I'm working up in doubles. I get to 285 here on this next set. And my best double ever I think is 205. And so this 280 or 185 right here is really hard. I try to get it for a triple. I think I've done it for 4 before, maybe 5, I can't remember. And the triple did not happen. I got 2. It was insanely hard. The shirt's off because it was balls hot in the gym before I put the giant fan on. So I was just happy that I made it through the heat of the gym, and I could still press my body weight over my head because I was feeling pretty damn weak. And on these days I had been weighing on average about 170 to 171. I hadn't done like any kind of big meals or anything like that. So that was all of last week. And then this was last Friday right here. And go back to gym number 1. And this is deadlifting. This would be the 3rd week in my training block before the meet. Working up in doubles to 500-pound rep out, making 25-pound jumps. And this was actually not that bad, but the pulls weren't as fast as I like. Hips a little bit higher than I wanted them to be, And so I get to the 500 and I get it for a triple on this next set, and my best triple I think is 515 or 520. And so 500 for a triple while cutting is somewhere along parallel of what I had done previously. Now if I could pull 600 at the meet, that would be fantastic. Do I think it's gonna happen for sure? No. Do I think it's a possibility? Yeah, if I'm having a fantastic day, I think I could pull 600 at the meet. But you know, I'm not going to go ahead and say I'm good for 600, so to speak. I'm just going to say that'd be nice. I hope I have a good day. So that third rep at 500, you could see it was a bit of a grinder at lockout, but considering, still got it. Do the back off work of front squats here. Doing 10 sets of 2 these last 2 weeks. But then again, if I'm feeling bad, I'm just going to play it fast and loose, see what feels good, and do that. And all in all, I'm just trying to stay flexible and train as hard as I can when I can, considering the situations that I find myself in. So should that be an insanely hot gym, or maybe I've driven all over the place? Yeah, I don't know. So going back to gym number 5 here, this is on this past Saturday. I'm doing some bench. Like I said, my bench is sucking, so that's 265 for a pause double. And the thing about training in all these different gyms is that I'm using different bars on different height benches on different floor surfaces, and everything is different. So you've got to not let all these little things that are different in your life just throw curveballs at you. They're going to prevent you from training hard. So it called for me to go up to 295 rep out, and then I got that 2 that it called for as a bare minimum. The second pause was pretty short. I didn't want to try to grind out a third. Maybe I could have, but all in all, considering, I feel pretty good. Now on my back off work, rather than doing 10 sets of 2 at like 265 or whatever it was, or military press, I just did 3 sets of 5 paused on close grip, and for the most part it went pretty well. I just needed to bump up my frequency on the bench. I do have a bit of shoulder weirdness happening, and I think that's from some like overhead squats, and just general overhead work it's not feeling too good right now. So here's today, doing some squats. These felt good up until I got about 405 pounds, and it just, something happened, I don't know. My insides weren't feeling too great. So that kind of was a bummer. I was taking my time going down on the descent. The ascent though was pretty quick on that 365 and the 315. I get here to 405. It's not too bad. By this time, I'd put on 1,200 miles on my own truck, but then yesterday we drove from Los Angeles all the way out to Joshua Tree, and so that was a 2.5 hour drive one way. Came back and I slept on the couch at my buddy's house 2 nights in a row before this training session. So, considering the fact that I got barely any good quality sleep, I mean I slept, but last night it was maybe 4 hours or something like that. Came in, I hit that 425, it was a grinder. I really expected to do better, so I just dropped it down to 405 here. I hit this double, it felt much better, and then from 405 I went down to 385, I got it for a triple. I dropped down to 365 and I got it for 5, and then rather than doing a bunch of doubles at I think 435 on the deadlift, I just pulled up to 455 for a single, and then did 3 sets of 3 with 315 real quick, making sure they're nice and fast, staying flexible with my training, and really looking forward to this meet. I'm not going to crush any PRs or any records or anything like that, but it'll be a good feeler for the next meet. Thanks.